What if Floyd's death wasn't really about Clark or Carol, but about one moment between him and Richard that went completely wrong? Not the drink, not the lies, not even the affair, just a son, misunderstanding a father. Because when you really look at the finale of DTF St. Louis, everything comes down to that final exchange between Floyd and Richard. And once you see it that way, the entire story starts to feel different. Let's break this down properly. By the time we reach that pool scene, Floyd is already emotionally drained. He's been trying all season to hold things together. His marriage is slipping, his confidence is gone, and even the one plan that was supposed to help him feel wanted ends up exposing how broken things really are. But here's the key thing people overlook. Floyd never really stops trying, even after the failed setup, even after the humiliation, even after realizing that things aren't what they used to be, he's still holding on to something. And that something is Richard. Throughout the story, Floyd isn't just a husband trying to fix his marriage. He's a stepfather trying to do it right, trying to be present, trying to be someone Richard can respect. That relationship matters more than it looks. So when Richard discovers the DTF profile, it's not just curiosity, it's disappointment, it's confusion. It's a kid starting to question the person he thought he understood. And that tension builds quietly in the background until that final moment at the pool. Now think about how that scene actually plays out. Richard shows up already expecting the worst. He's not coming to ask questions. He's coming with a conclusion already in his head. And when he sees Floyd there, in that situation, it confirms everything he thought. But what he sees isn't the truth. He doesn't see Floyd trying to hold himself together. He doesn't see the emotional weight of everything that just happened. He doesn't see a man who is struggling. He just sees something he can't process. And Floyd realizes that instantly. That's the moment everything shifts. Because Floyd understands that Richard isn't just confused. He's judging him. He's disappointed. He's already made up his mind about who Floyd is. And instead of correcting him, instead of explaining the situation, Floyd chooses something else. He signs, "I love you." Now, this is where the theory really comes in. That moment isn't just Floyd expressing love. It's Floyd giving up on being understood. Because think about it carefully. If he believed Richard would listen, he would have explained. If he believed he could fix that moment, he would have tried. But he doesn't. He says the one thing that doesn't require explanation. And that tells you everything about where his mindset is. Let me ask you this. Why would someone choose love over clarity in the one moment that could define how they're seen? Because deep down, they don't think clarity will change anything. And that's what makes this moment so heavy. Floyd isn't just facing rejection. He's facing misinterpretation from the one person he still wanted to get it right with. All season, he's been trying to be enough for Carol, for Clark, but especially for Richard. And in that moment, he realizes he's failed in Richard's eyes, not because of what actually happened, but because of how it looks. And that's the difference. Truth doesn't matter anymore. Perception does. So when Floyd signs, "I love you," it feels less like a message and more like a final acceptance. He's not trying to fix the situation. He's closing it. Now connect that to what happens right after. Floyd takes the drink. On the surface, it looks like a clear decision. But when you place it next to that moment with Richard, it starts to feel different. It doesn't feel impulsive. It feels like something that was already building, finally tipping over. Because here's the deeper layer. Floyd didn't just lose his marriage. He didn't just lose his confidence. In that moment, he lost how Richard sees him. And that might have been the last thing holding him together. Let me throw this out there. Do you think Floyd could have walked away from everything else, but not from that moment with Richard? Because that's what it feels like. Everything else hurt him, but that moment broke him. And what makes it even more tragic is that Richard doesn't realize what he's done. From his perspective, he just confronted something he didn't understand. He reacted the way a confused, emotional kid would react, but from Floyd's perspective, it was something else entirely. It was confirmation. Confirmation that, no matter how much he tried, he couldn't control how people saw him. And that's where the show gets really honest. Because sometimes it's not the big betrayals that destroy someone. It's the small, quiet moments where they realize they've been misunderstood by the people who matter most. Now, here's a slightly uncomfortable thought. Richard didn't cause Floyd's death, but his misunderstanding might have been the final weight that made everything collapse. Not intentionally, not directly, but emotionally, because timing matters. And that moment came at the worst possible time. Now, think about Floyd's final action. He doesn't argue. He doesn't chase after Richard. He doesn't try to fix anything. He stays still, and then he lets go. That stillness says more than anything else in the episode. It tells you that he's done fighting to be seen. So here's what I want to ask you. If Richard had paused, if he had asked one question instead of reacting, do you think Floyd would still be alive? Or was Floyd already at a point where nothing could have changed what happened next? And even deeper than that, do you think Floyd's final "I love you" was meant for Richard? Or was it the only way he knew how to say goodbye to everything he couldn't fix? Let me know what you think in the comment section.